Hi guys, we're going to get started here in just a few minutes, so we're going to wait for some people to get on. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day today. It's a beautiful day out, so just wait for people to get on and yeah. Hi! Hi Alicia! Do you have a watch on? Okay.
See how it is. And that's why I moved my phone to the green.
Yeah. So as you can see, it's very bright outside today. So I think I'm going to get started. Hi, my name is Kat Tedder, and I am the program specialist here in North Platte for Lakeview Cabin. And we are here today with Rachel Allison. She works for the Nebraska Forest Service, and I'm going to hand it over to her so that she can talk to you about trees. Here she is.
Hi everyone. I'm glad to be here with you today. When Kat and I talked about doing this, our topic was going to be about windbreaks. And for some of you, it may be very windy in your area, and so this is a perfect day for it. Just a little bit of what I do. I'm a forester, so I do work with trees, and I cover mostly the southwest part of the state, helping people with their windbreaks. Some of them are old and they need to be fixed up. Some of them need to start new ones. So what I want to start off with today is to make you think a couple things about what does the wind do? How can we tell if the wind is blowing? It's invisible. Sometimes we can see, do you know what a windsock is at an airport? Or when you're driving down the interstate, it shows that which way the direction of the wind is. That kind of helps us to know where it's going. We can also generate wind. Like in the house in the summer, we might turn on a fan, and that blows some things around. And also if you blow bubbles or have a pinwheel, you can see the wind, and that's kind of fun. So today, what we want to do is look at the important thing for a windbreak is we want to help slow the wind so it's more comfortable on a day like this. When Kat and I came over here, it was pretty windy, but we got into where there's a group of trees on all four sides of us, so it makes it really comfortable here, and it's not cold or too breezy for our hair. And one of the things about a windbreak is it doesn't completely stop the wind, but it kind of helps slow it down. And the most important thing about putting up a windbreak is you want to put it perpendicular to it. So first of all, we have to figure out which way the wind is blowing. And if any of you live out in the country, you know that if you step out the front door, sometimes the wind will almost flop the door open and not break it, but it'll just snap the door. And that's kind of hard. So if you had some trees there, that would help protect it. In Nebraska, in the winter, the snow is colder, and more of our snows come out of the north and west. So if your front door faces north or west, it's a lot of wind there. And so a windbreak with trees on the north and the west side can really help protect that. Now, sometimes what people want to know is, what kinds of trees do I put in there, and how many trees do I need to have? And one thing that's important to kind of understand is, I'm going to show you a picture here. if we want to stop the wind, you can see here where we're trying to walk into the wind. And if you look down here, you can see where the trees are, and that kind of keeps the wind, instead of being straight line and fast, it kind of makes it slow down and go in a swirl like this. And it gets it up and over the house. So this could be the winter wind coming here. And then also sometimes it's helpful in the summer to have some trees on the south side, because we do have some pretty dusty winds sometimes in the summer. So those are the things that we try to do with trees, is to slow the wind. So how many rows? Some of the things that are important is we kind of want to start with, sometimes you can do what we call a trip row. That might be a row of shrubs, and that will actually pull out a bunch of snow. And you know, we are supposed to have some snow this weekend. And what might be a fun thing to do is see where the snow piles up by a fence row or behind a tree. There might be a bunch of snow. But if you can have one row pull out the snow, and then you might have like 3 or 4 rows of trees in all together. What it kind of works out with my hand is the windward side is always faces the direction the wind's coming from. So the wind would come from the north, and this would be row 1, and sometimes it's a shrub. The next one is a medium-sized tree when they're grown, fully grown, and then the middle one might be the tallest tree, and then another come down, and then you have another small one. So it kind of helps the wind kind of come up and go like that. That kind of slows it. So sometimes this middle one is a tall cottonwood, or it could be a tall pine tree, a tall spruce tree. And what's important is, you know, how well that tree would grow in your area. So sometimes the shrubs could be lilacs. They could be other kinds that we call, there's a cotoneaster, sumac, sand cherry. Those are all different kinds of shrubs. And then for broadleaf trees, there's elm and maple trees as well. And some of the conifers, that's actually, Kat and I are standing in what we call our conifer area. And right beside us here, this looks like a spruce, but it's actually a fir. And one of the cool things is, if you ever know what a spruce is, and I would go like this on a spruce, I would poke myself. A spruce is sharp, but a fir is flat. So this is a nice soft tree, and they're really pretty. And behind us is a tall pine tree. And the pine trees are the ones that have those long needles. So if you see those fall off. The spruce and fir keep their lower branches, and the pine loses their low branches. So sometimes, like if you're playing in the yard, it's a sunny day and you want to make a snowman, but the wind's really blowing, or, you know, and so you want the cold winter wind to stop. You want something that's going to keep the wind slowed down all the way to the ground. And so sometimes if you don't have that low story protection, that's when you want to use some shrubs. So here's kind of a picture of what a windbreak can look like around our homes. So what's important here is you can see this home, and this is the north coming here. So this is the north, and this faces west over here. So here you can see there's 1, 2, 3, a skinny one there, 4, 5, and 6 rows in this windbreak. And you can tell by their color, they're different kinds of trees too. So, and I did want to mention the middle sometimes is what's tall, and the tall trees help carry the wind way past your home. So that's what's important. So I'm going to let it go at that, and if there's any other questions, or I can talk about other uses for windbreaks too.
Can you talk about the grouping of trees?
Yes. One of the things this is looking past me. This face is from that's south down there. And sometimes the picture you saw was a line of trees. But what's important here is it's really nice just to have a scattering or a group of trees, anything that has, it's kind of a really pleasant obstruction to the wind. And so, and that was one thing that reminds me, what kinds of things do you think benefit from having all these trees?
Birds.
Yes.
We can hear them.
Yes, that's what reminded me. We can hear the birds, and they especially like the conifers in the winter, because that's what we call it, thermal cover, that it kind of keeps that cold out, and they can get inside and it slows the wind. So a group of trees like this is very helpful to have the wind. It doesn't always have to be a straight line, especially if you live in town and you know, you want to have a couple trees around. That will really help protect from the winter, and trees are wonderful to help with the shade in the summer too.
Can we go look at the line of trees down here?
Sure. Yes.
Okay, let's go this way.
Yeah. One of the things that we have in our conifer area is what we're heading to is what we call arborvitae. And we're going to have a little bit, I think we can walk through this way, Kat.
Okay.
This is another really pretty, it's kind of flat like a fan. And so here's some of the seed that's going to fall in just a second. But that's the seed right there. It's kind of fallen apart from last year. It kind of opened up there. And so anyway, back in here, and you can almost see along the ground where the trunks are. And so that's a nice row. And right now we're heading into the wind. So from here, we're getting a little bit of protection from these evergreens, the arborvitae, back over here. And if you look a little bit that way, you can see all the hackberry trees, which is another wonderful, tall, mature tree. And that, there was a line of trees there, and they do get old, and sometimes we have to take them out. So they had, the ones that were removed had some rot in them, and we didn't want them to fall and hurt someone. So they have to be taken out. But this, where we're standing, is a part of where my office is. It's a part of the University of Nebraska out of Lincoln. And this station, it's the West Central Research and Extension Center, and it used to be called the Experiment Station, because in 1903 they came out here and they planted trees, and they had chickens and horses and pigs. It was the Ag Experiment Station a long time ago.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what kind of trees grow best in Nebraska?
Well, depending on the soil. So, you know, in the east they have more moisture. They have almost like 28 inches of rain, 24, and way out to Scottsbluff they may have 12 to 14 inches of rain. So it's really, our state's almost split in half, and sometimes you can see when you go east to Lincoln towards that way, it's a lot greener. So what can grow in our general area is, we can do the ones I mentioned for the windbreak, which would be like spruce and fir, pine definitely grows in sandy soils, and then what grows in like good farm soil would be like your oak, elm, maple, things like that. And then some trees can grow even in a heavier clay soil, and so that may be something new to think about. But sometimes in town, our soils, the clay holds a lot of moisture, and that makes it hard for trees to grow. But some of them, so maples can do well, and ash has done pretty well. It can do okay. It needs more moisture than sometimes we have here, but there's a lot of new insects. There's, some of you may or may not know, there's an emerald ash borer that's moved into Michigan in 2002, and it's just gotten into Lincoln, an Omaha area. And so it's, eventually we might lose our ash trees out here, but they are also having a hard time with other insects. So trees have a tough time out here. The biggest, some of you may know, I always ask kids like at Arbor Day, what's the most important thing that a tree needs to grow? And so the one thing that's most important is water. And then other than that, also the sun and growing space to get the nutrients out of the soil. So, and lots of good care.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Rachel. Does anybody have any questions for Rachel? I haven't seen any pop up. Well, I just want to thank you very much again for doing this for us.
And did you want to put that Flat Juliet challenge up?
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to say it or do you?
You can say it.
Okay, and because Kat told me that you guys have a Flat Juliet challenge, and so one of the things that I thought that would be really good would be what I call adopt a tree. And so you can do this, if you pick a tree in your yard, would be to write a journal about it. And the one thing that's really important is if you do that, be sure to give it a name and a birth date. And then you can tell Kat and your family all about your Flat Juliet, or sorry, your tree. Maybe you want to name her Juliet, no. But anyway, that should be a lot of fun, and you can look it up on the internet too and find out what kind of tree it is. So,
awesome.
Lots of good information.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kat.
Oop, I gotta take my hat off. So thank you so much for coming out today. I'm so glad that you came to watch our little program here. If you have any questions about trees or anything we talked about today, be sure to mention them in the comments and we will follow up with you. On Sunday, we are having a troop activities workshop, how to do virtual troop activities with your troop during this odd time in our lives. And on Monday morning at 10 a.m., of course, we will have yoga. So stay tuned, stay safe, wash your hands, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.